Charlie.
Post-workout glow.
Mhm.
The glow is real, boys. The glow is real.
Mhm.
Feeling real thirst trappy out here. Very thirst trappy on a Thursday. Thirst trappy Thursday over here.
Let him know, Charlie. Let him know.
That's next season's new thing is Thirst Trap Thursday. Everybody
Right.
send your selfies for Thirst Trap Thursday. Oh man, and we are live.
Vamos.
Man, it feels extra good with this mic, man. Oh, what's up? What's up? Actually, it's mad hot in my room right now. It's my fault. I am Crunk Chocolate. I am with the Show Bros, Lando. And freshly from the workout, he still got the glistening on him, you know. The
He was challenged.
Healthy glow. We
Yeah.
got Sharpie Charlie. How you doing?
I'm great, man. I am wonderful. I am excited to be here on this Thursday. Happy to see y'all boys after a beautiful Wednesday win. How you doing, Orlando?
Oh, loving with that last bit that you just said, my man. I mean, the fact that coming off a nice little win, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit, man. But I'm Gucci. Had some. I thought about drinking. I don't know where you guys are. Iced tea and lemonade. Arnold Palmer. I see you got the Modelo. I know you're probably having some water after that. I got a little bit of. It's just Celsius, no whiskey, no rum, no nothing special.
Ooh, okay.
So just the Celsius. But I was thinking about having an Arnold Palmer, but I was thinking about maybe calling it a cold Palmer.
Oh God.
Ooh,
A cold Palmer?
I see what you did there. What up? What up?
A bit of a cold
right on
Palmer?
cue. Cole Palmer's biggest fan right there.
You gotta
What's up,
give him
T?
a rim shot.
What's
Hey,
up,
look at the
T?
lighting. You see Tarek's lighting? Okay, we get some
No,
real
he's
central.
up.
It really is a Thirst Trap Thursday.
Yeah.
It's a Thirst Trap Thursday for real. Got the ambient lighting in the background. There's levels to this, boy.
Every
Yeah.
day.
And it was funny because last week he didn't have the light on. It was kind of just like dark in the background. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a vibe. And now he has it like lit up in the back. It's even more of a vibe. It's just like, okay, what you doing after this, huh, Tarek? You got the keys in the first
Kids
place,
go
my
to
boy.
sleep. Go to sleep, girls. Go to
This is
sleep.
a family
Go to
show.
sleep.
Is it?
Is it? Not on the lip screen.
Oh.
Go do your homework. Go study. Go study. Put the AirPods in.
Oh, man.
We ain't got no classes.
Man, I first want to laugh at United. Can we do that?
Oh
Sure
boy.
can.
Yes, please.
You don't even
Always.
ever
gotta
have
tell
to
me
ask
twice.
permission to laugh at United. You don't
So-
need permission for that.
I was making dinner. I love making chicken nuggets from scratch. So I made some adult chicken nuggets. That was a good time. I was like dicing up the meat and prepping the breading and all that stuff. And I roasted some potatoes, some peas and stuff. Very simple, hearty, just Midwest, except for the chicken nuggets. But I was like, all right, it's the 96th minute. Chelsea hasn't done anything for like 20 minutes. It is what it is. I turn around and I'm like, all right, let me listen to some kind of podcast. Let me put that on. So let me turn off my TV. I turn around and all of a sudden I see United players like hunched over, all sad. And in my brain, I'm thinking, this is kind of weird body language for a team who just won. And then the score popped up. And boy, oh boy, it's just good to know that apparently Chelsea just has all of Manchester's number. I don't know what it is, like what's going on. It's and then Eric Ten Hag coming out and being like, we deserve to win. Well, you didn't, my boy. So like, what next?
I believe it was Sunshine who was like, that's the mid-table derby. And she was 100% right. Or just the mid derby. You can just
The
stop
mid
at mid.
derby.
Because both clubs are extremely mid, extremely unserious outfits, or whatever word you want to use, phrase, soliloquy, like whatever. They're hilarious. Both sides, because Chelsea's so happy, and it's like, oh, you're back up to what, 11th? And like, Man U was like, oh, we still got a chance at 5th because we're trying to back our way into Champions League. So,
That's
red and
why I
blue,
love
purple
them
blood
so
is
much.
terrible.
Because I don't want them to get into Champions League, even an extended Champions League. If they can't get into that, then it's just wonderful. So I'm definitely cheering for them to drop as many points as possible.
It was really fun to see both managers struggle through absolute shit moments. I mean, both of them looked puzzled. Both looked at them like the seat is just hot and they know it. And then Pochettino gets the victory at the end. But I mean, it was good. It was entertaining. I was a fan of it all. And of course, fucking the rags. What a joke.
And it was Garnacho doing basically everything. I mean, Anthony had to look the best he's had in a long time. Like, that squad is defensively, they're just so bad. And it's so great to see. Like, Dallo, who normally has been kind of the rock of theirs. And it's just funny watching all of the, not all, but a chunk of the United profiles trying to like big them up, be like, it's just one mess up. You got this. No, bro. It's I've just been enjoying it. Instead of me laughing too much on social media, I just scroll and giggle. I'm that old Beyonce gif of her just like scrolling on the thing, like laughing and tapping things. That was basically just me being like, that's a funny tweet. That's a funny tweet. I like this. It was great. It was just I needed this uplift because it's just been gray and snowy for the last 2 days, and United just crumbling in 60 seconds melted away the ice that has just been freezing my heart. And now I'm just free and flying like a bird. Thank you, Chelsea.
The only
Can
thing
I ask a question? Oh, good, Terry. I'm sorry.
And I'll say the only thing better than them dropping points to Chelsea will be them taking points off of Liverpool. I don't ever expect that to happen, but God, if that were to happen, could you imagine? I don't know who would be upset more, Liverpool or just like, how can we lose points to this team?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they're unserious. My question is this: when did Cole Palmer become Bruno Fernandes? Because remember, like that season where Bruno seemed to score every single penalty, and I feel like his tally is crazy now. Like I saw the graphic comparing Foden to Bruno. I mean, Foden to Palmer to Saka, and it's like, oh, they have so many pins, and he gets like what 2 more this match. It's like, damn, why do people keep fouling Chelsea? Like, they can't hit the target if you don't foul them. Like, stop. Just stop fouling in the box. It's not that hard.
You would think. Oh, man. But we have 3 most dope guests for you. The first, actually, so for the rest of our lit streams, every guest is just going to be a banger after a banger. They are guests we've already had on. They are guests that you, Shady Gang, have enjoyed. They are guests that we personally enjoyed. So I was like, let's just bring back some fun, you know? Not every guest can be a hit. I mean, even though I think we're batting like 90, 97, or shooting 97% when it comes to guests. But these people, for the rest of this season, I'm super excited to have each one and have fantastic conversations with each one. We got the homie Citizen Duck. We got the homie Roberto Rojas. We have your favorite wrestling podcast, Show Bro. And I hope my other current show bros don't get a little jealous of Greggo, because it's a little awkward. It's my 2 lives meeting each other for the first time. So it could be great. It could be awkward. I'm obviously just being ridiculous, but I'm excited. Let's bring our first guest on, the homie. You may have known him when he was a part of Bitter and Blue. You definitely should know him through his amazing tweets and his time on our shows. Welcome back. He is now, I think, the lead. He's officially been on the lit stream the most now. I'm pretty sure. Shady Gang, it is Citizen Duck. What's up, homie?
I am honored. That is, if I've been on this show more than any other guest, that is a high honor, folks. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate being back here. I love hanging out with you guys. I always love mixing it up. It's really good.
It's deserved, my guy. It's deserved. And let's get right into it, because this is just like city talk after we recorded our episode on Sunday, so really haven't had much chance to talk about our club. So this is really nice. This is what I love, having our first guest be a City fan, so we can kind of get this like city out of us, and then we can talk about the world of football. What I saw, you wanted to discuss our trophy outlook.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously we're still in the mix for the back-to-back treble, right?
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to get your guys from you what you think our prospects are, and kind of rank the likelihood maybe of which trophies do we think are more likely, and which ones are going to be a little bit harder to get of the three that are available: FA Cup, Champions League, and of course a Premier League, unprecedented fourth straight first division title.
I'll let one of y'all get in here. I've been talking.
Yeah,
I'll start. I don't see. Yeah, I've lost hope in the Premier League for my own sanity.
Okay.
Just because of this, right? It's 4 is very hard to do. Not because we won't fight, not because I don't think we can win out. I just think we lost the ability to control our own fate. And Liverpool is in a great run of form. They don't lose at Anfield, and they're getting healthy. And we can't, we had a chance, we didn't win, we drew. So I would say that Champions League and FA Cup, I have like a 9 out of 10 confidence in for those 2 trophies, and I would say Premier League, flip a coin, 5 out of 10.
Okay, I kind of agree with that. I would say, really, and basically it comes down to kind of that same thing, right? So the Champions League, you win your matches, you are the champion. That's the way it is. You just win the rest of your matches, and you're lifting that trophy. Same thing in the FA Cup. But you have to rely on other clubs to not get a result for you to win this Premier League trophy now, right? So we got Liverpool. They're now what, 70? Is that right? Where did they get to today?
Mm-hmm.
I just had it up too. Sorry. So they're at 70. We're sitting at they're at 70. Arsenal 68. We're 1 point back at Arsenal at 67. So we've got to make up 3 points, but really we got to make up 4 because our goal differential isn't really that close. Mm-hmm. And I just don't. I'm with you, Charlie. I don't see Liverpool slipping. I don't. Unfortunately, Derek, I don't see the Rags helping us out there. But you never know. It's crazy, right? Things can happen. But at this point, you just got to take care of the results you can take care of and hope someone else slips. But as far as you look at, I think we've got the tougher of the draws in the FA Cup, right? We have the tougher of the 2 draws. If we get past the semis, I really like our chance to win that trophy, right? And I'm looking at what's left. We've got Madrid. And again, I feel like if you get past Madrid, you're into that final and you feel like you've already beat the only team that really has a shot at you. So I think getting past the 2 semis, you feel really good about the FA Cup. You feel really good about the Champions League. And it's just, you need a lot of help. And it's always that thing where you got to climb over 2 teams now, right? With 6 matches left or 8 matches left. I'm sorry. You got to climb over 2 teams, and that's going to be difficult to do. Anybody else see it differently?
No, it's spot on, and it's smart of Sharpie to just picture us out of the Premier League. I'm clinging on to hope, and it's what kills you. So I'm just gonna die on this hill because I want the Premier League more than the Champions League. I think the Champions League we have to go through who we have to go through, but it is what it is when it comes to the Champions League. And the FA Cup, we should win that. And the Premier League is the more difficult one. And
I think you're right that the Premier League is the more difficult one. Having won at 5 out of 6 years, though, I think putting a back-to-back Champions League campaign to get, like, winning
it's so hard to do that
2 years in a row, right? That's a huge accomplishment. Right. That's not just, and again, it's just like, you can't just run away and hide. You can't go out to a big lead early on in the Champions League and just hide from the rest of you have to win. You have to get through. It's a knockout. It's just like that March Madness deal, right? So you have to be able to do, and I think it's just a huge accomplishment. Obviously, not a lot of teams have won back-to-backs. I mean, you've got Real Madrid, who's won it a few times that way. Forest won a back-to-back, but there's been some, but it's huge accomplishment. It's something that hasn't happened. I think it's been a little while now since someone's won back-to-back Champions Leagues.
I think Real did it. What was it, 16, 17 or 17, or something like that. And then before that, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
And but you're talking about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
7 years ago now. So yeah.
I think Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go. You got it.
Go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, the thing about Champions League is we have a couple two-legged, affairs, right? So we get Real over two legs. We get the winner of Bayern or Arsenal over two legs, and then it would be the final. I like our chances of getting to the final because, again, I think it's hard for anybody to beat us over two legs. So getting to the final, I think, is likely, and then it becomes a crapshoot. You never know what's going to happen in a final. Anything can happen. So I think that one, I don't know percentages, but I'd say, 60 to 75%, something like that. We've already said Premier League is going to be the hardest of them. And I think FA Cup is going to be hard just because it's a one-legged. You win or you lose, you go home. So again, in those types of affairs, anything can happen, and so it makes it tricky for sure. I'm hopeful for coming out of this season with at least 2 trophies. That would be great. You can take your pick between Premier League or Champions League and the FA Cup, but definitely would love to get 2 out of these. If I had to pick, yeah, I'd go Premier League just because of that 4. I think that'd be where we would go, but I'll take either one because they both have their own storylines. They both have, very rare occurrences, things that we can hold on to, and things we can point and look at the other, these other Premier League teams and say, you've never done this. So it just continues to separate us.
Yes. And now let's keep it moving. Let's stay in the city spectrum. How do you say his name? Is it Cavan?
Cavan. It's Cavan.
Cavan Sullivan.
So it's an Irish name, right? So it's Cavan Sullivan, right? His older brother, Quinn Sullivan, is a first team for Philadelphia Union. He's a Philadelphia Union under 15. He also plays for the under 17 team. 14-year-old Cavan Sullivan, who is linked with City, reportedly on a $2 million deal to move to City when he turns 18. Just to kind of give a background there, he can't go to City. City cannot bring him in until he hits 18 because he does not have a UK passport. So there was some. He does have a German passport, however. So he has a European Union passport. There was some heavy interest in him from Bayern and Dortmund as well as Real Madrid. But it is reported that he has chosen City as his club after he is ready to move there. And a couple of things can happen. So they may leave him in Philadelphia until he hits 18. There is also a possibility, because he does have that German passport and is eligible to play in Europe on that, they may move him to Girona. They may move him to Palermo, right? One of the other City Football Group clubs. Possible. And that's all great. And it's amazing for City. They call him the American Messi and all these things. 14-year-old. Scored 2 goals in the under 15 World Cup against England, all that great stuff. What I want to talk about more, though, is less from a City perspective and what this young person's potential means for U.S. soccer, right? If he were to live up to that potential, if he were to become one of the better players on the world stage, right? Thoughts?
I mean, that's exciting.
Can I go first?
Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Charlie's ready.
When I first saw the story, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It's kind of like you think of the people that have been like those wonder kids in the U.S., Freddie Adu, Christian Pulisic, right? Those are the first 2 that come to mind for me. But it's like, this is a different level because neither one of those were going out to the best club in the world. Like that's a different level of, cachet, of like attention. And I think if City scouts, who normally get it right with the young talent, as you've seen, the dozens of talent around Europe, like if they see something and they want to spend $2 million on someone who can't even drive in America, like that's a great sign for his talent level. And yes, you have to, put him in the right country and do that. But once you have I hate saying it because they're humans, right? But once you have the player in your club, now you can groom and make sure that like he goes up the right ranks.
You can support his
so
growth.
that way by the time he's 19, he's ready. Yeah, for sure. So yeah,
Right.
so I love it. I think it's a really cool thing.
What
And I will say
position does he
this.
play? He's a striker?
Yeah, well, he's a forward, right? He's
Okay,
a forward.
just
So
for
I don't think
general.
it's like
Yes.
right. So, and I think here's the thing. So, and I saw someone write this, and like American Messi is one thing. I did actually have someone refer to him as the American Foden, and I would take that 100%.
Oh, 1,000%.
Phil Foden.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just. It's just unfortunate because, like Sharpie said it, we saw what Freddie do, and that is a cautionary tale. And Pulisic is a great player, but
he's a very serviceable pro in a top 5 European league, right? He's done really good things with AC Milan. He had a hard time at Chelsea. He was great at Dortmund. He was really, really good. And Chelsea, that's not at times is a bit of a shit show. Right. Yeah. So you go in there, you don't know if you're going to play. There's too many people in the squad. It's hard to get time. So if you don't flourish at Chelsea, is that on you? Is that on their system? So I think he's done really well. And in CONCACAF, and of course, that's a step down. Right. But he is probably the best player in CONCACAF.
There's one crucial detail that I think to all of this that I think makes it a separation from other American players that we've seen. And it's the notion that if he does find his way to Germany before he turns 18 or find his way to Europe somehow and plays for a club and happens to do a little bit of success, because if that is where he's done something different from Pulisic, Gioreña went after 18. So all of these other players that we've had that have been successful, other than the Freddie Adu, and again, we all know that circumstance, we don't want for anyone. That's the other thing, right? We want the path to be successful, and sometimes City know where we kind of loan players out. The path is better that way to maybe somehow come back and return eventually, to the club. So for Pong, I'm looking at you. Just saying. So there's ways to kind of figure it out, but I like it. It's that separation, Duck. If we can go ahead and get him out there and he balls out, that would be next level. I'm talking pre-18.
Yeah, and just so let's say, and you'll see what City think of his progression. If they bring him over to the Spanish club or the Italian club when he's 16, 17 years old, you'll know, okay, they think this kid is really the real deal. They've spent the money, and now they're bringing him over here because they don't want him languishing in MLS 2 or MLS Next or whatever you want to call it. They want him in that.
What are you saying about MLS? What are you saying?
MLS is fine. MLS is fine. But if I got a choice of putting a kid for the under 17s for Philadelphia Union or putting him in the Palermo system, teaching him the City way with City coaches, I want to do that, right? And you'll see what they think. And not just that, I think for the game here in the U.S., if he's in Europe and he's flourishing over there, stories start to hit, ESPN, they start to hit Bleacher Report, whatever it is. And then he shows up on the U.S. men's national team and is serviceable there and is one of the better players there and flashes that offensive brilliance, that left foot. I think that could build. We got the World Cup coming up in 2 years. And then if this kid comes along shortly thereafter, I think it could be huge for the growth of the game in our country.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say that he's part Irish, and I know Duck over here. I'm looking at his Twitter and his posts, and my buddy just went to Ireland back in December, so I was going to ask him about it. I don't want to take it, and you put a pen on that. T, go ahead, ask your question. Get to it.
No. I mean, I wasn't going to ask a question. I was just going to say again. I think the Freddie Adu thing is the concern. Right? You don't want to have a repeat. You don't want to put a kid in a position where you're putting too much on their shoulders too soon. This kid is being talked about as being the best player, not in America, but the best player potentially in the world at his age group.
Yes.
At his age group. James.
So that is heavy crown to wear. But if he proves himself able to wear it and to carry it well, then, it only speaks to what this kid could potentially be. But I'm just having seen, again, I wasn't really paying attention, but just knowing the Freddie Adu story, you don't want to put a kid in a position where they're going to be set up to fail. You want to make sure they're going to succeed. And I think that's why you leave the kid here, at least for a little bit, where he's already comfortable.
Sure.
His family is here, all of those things. I think he gets to play, I'm going to say, adult football sooner here than he does over there. He's not going to play for, City. We don't have a second team, U18s, U19s, U23s, all that stuff. He could do that, whatever. But in MLS, he's going to be playing, even if it's MLS Next Pro, he's playing against potentially professional players. And I think being able to get into a top level lineup is not impossible for this kid in the next couple years. Especially if you think about some of the Leagues Cup and all those other different competitions that would have been great for them to be able to be in Open Cup, but that's another conversation.
Yeah,
but I think just getting that kid the opportunity to play against grown men day in, day out will be helpful. But also very cautious about trying to put too much too soon. But of course, as City fans, you want to see the kid succeed. You want to see him do well. And to have an American potentially come in and be another one of those shining academy stars that we see, like a Phil Foden, like potentially could have been a Cole Palmer, like, Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis. Right, exactly. So to have that type of a player in on that conveyor belt is like the next level of American fandom, because it's like we can point to this kid came from over here. So it's really cool. It's a really cool story. I hope it all works out. It's still a long way to go.
It is,
but definitely excited to see what can come out of it.
Okay, so while you were all talking, I just spent some time watching a comp, and I'm all in. Let's go, baby.
There you go. All right.
Whoa.
YouTube's a beautiful thing.
He was wilding. He's a dog from.
To Jared's point, though, it's a mentality thing, though.
Yep.
You've got to protect. If he has the mentality, you let him push it as far as he can. But you also have to be mindful of what can he handle from a maturity standpoint, too. Right.
Please note DT in the chat saying playing Champions League with Girona. I want to see it.
Yes,
could you imagine if he gets minutes?
Again, I don't think he's going to be in Europe next year. He's 2 years away at least from being anywhere near Europe.
Yeah, he's still pretty small, but he seems very confident. He seems like he has a dog in him.
Con cuidado.
You know what I mean.
Little small. Say little small. I'm not having that. Con cuidado.
Maybe that's why they're tying him to Messi.
Well, Philip Walter Foden would like a word.
He's not a very good dude either.
What do you mean? Like Oscar Bob would like to have a word. What are we talking about here? Like,
Bernardo Silva.
I'm sorry, I'm 6'4". I don't think about these things.
Oh, look at him! Go ahead, give your profile, Crunk. Break down. Go ahead, break it down. Let me know.
I'm 6'4". I like long walks near any beaches.
Good Daniel Steele novel.
I love writing haikus when I get real drunk off of red wine. I'm just looking for somebody who I can just go to clubs and dance like nobody's watching. Just small things.
I like that. First Shop Thursday starting early out here.
That only shades content.
There it is.
Oh,
that's how
man.
We get lucrative.
Oh, okay. Well, Duck, before we get you out of here, please plug yourself. Let people know where they can find you and the things you're up to.
So I don't do much anymore as far as writing goes. As Crump alluded to before, I did used to write for Bitter and Blue on a regular basis. I do still contribute to the Gut Feelings article that gets put out before every game. So if you want to check out what I think what's going to happen in the upcoming matches, we've got one coming out Saturday morning for the match against Palace. I just put in my predictions for that. And then other than that, you can just follow me on Twitter for nonsense. I do nonsense on Twitter. It's cool.
Hey.
At Duckman for real, I should say.
There you go.
With number 4.
Let's go.
Always appreciate you, homie.
Anytime,
you have a good rest
guys.
of your evening.
I love it. Thanks, fellas. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Take it easy, Duck. Great to see you, man.
See you, homie. Hey, Duck. All right. Next guest. Super excited to bring him back on. He's gone through his own little change since the last time we had him on, and it's really funny because I remember before he came on, he was the last time, and before we went live, he was talking about how he's just been real busy. He had to do this interview he was like name dropping. He's like, well, I did this thing with this one broadcast company, and then I had this really long interview. And he was kind of like explaining that. And the next thing you know, he puts this post on up and he's like, hey, no big deal. But, I work for ESPN FC now, like NBD. So
I'm going to ask if he dropped the Alphabet Boys or not.
So, Shady Gang, give it up for the young legend, the most dope homie, Fan828, a.k.a. Roberto Rojas.
What's up, boys? How are you?
Hey, good.
What's up, man? So good to see you.
Oh, come on.
We
I'm
are
not
not worthy.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
The introduction already made me blush. Now he's giving me more of a chance to blush more. Damn.
Hey,
Well deserved, man.
yeah, you know how we are over here. We love
already know,
lifting
bro.
our friends, especially when they're doing most dope things.
Para la cena, I'm gonna take it to another level, bro. Para la gente, bro. Do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
Ya tú sabes.
Love it. Well, and what I loved about bringing you on, and you repped it in our outline, is you have us talking and learning about leagues and players that we don't normally pay too much attention to. So that's what I love bringing you on. This is the point of the Lit Stream, is for us to get as much out of our city bubble as we can. And boy, oh boy, do you do it. And like Cerro Porteño in Paraguay, that's the club you cheer for. And like also just you always standing up for your fellow Paraguayans. Is that what are y'all called?
Paraguayans.
Paraguayans. There we go. Your fellow Paraguayans. And I love that. You're just like, hey, if you're Paraguayan, I support you. I don't care what the. And I mean, it's very similar to like what we do. And so I just love seeing you do it. And so teach us a little about the club you cheer for.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, the team that I support is called Cerro Porteño. It's a team based in Paraguay. It's commonly known as the second successful team in there. So you have the most successful team in Olimpia, which have won multiple Libertadores, league titles. They're kind of the big brother, whereas me, either by choice or by misfortune, I choose the little brother. But that's because obviously the thing about how it is in most of South America, especially in Paraguay, is that you're really born into these type of families. You have family members who are born into, using examples like Boca Juniors, River Plate, or Flamengo in Brazil, Corinthians, Colo Colo in Chile, so on and so forth. So you kind of get that kind of point. And I guess my dad supported the team. My mom supports the team. Most of the family also supports the team. So it's like, all right. Looks like when I was first introduced to it, my first ever soccer game, ironically enough, was a derby. It was a derby between Olimpia versus Cerro. I was 8 years old. I went for the first time. It was 2006, I think. It was a 1-1 draw. And yeah, from there, I just was hooked. And that's kind of gotten me and really allowed me to really go into this path of what I do, and obviously journalism and working in the soccer media. I wasn't good enough to be a professional player, unfortunately. I could have been like, what's his name? The kid you were just talking about, Sullivan. But it's like, yeah, it's you get your chances here and there. I mean, I wasn't going to be Calvin, but hey, maybe I could be a Calvin Sullivan when I was little doing my own stuff in journalism. But no, it's been really fun to see. And obviously with what I do and obviously speaking to people around the world have allowed me to really grow into this path of learning about different people. And obviously myself teaching them about what Paraguay is about, what my team is about, especially for a country that doesn't really get a lot of attention or love in comparison to other South American countries.
Yeah, and it's facts. And we have people like Vincho, who is just like River Plate this, River Plate that, River Plate this. So it's nice to have you uplift another club, and I keep my eye out, and hopefully City can start pilfering players from them bit by bit, because we've already picked River Plate practically clean over the last couple of years. So we're gonna have to like spread out and start picking other clubs. So I will email my people at City about Cerro Porteño and see what we can do. So thank you. Shout out to you. Is so if you were, I mean, other than them being the little brother, how is their style? Like, if you were to try to sell the club, like becoming a fan of them to us, like how would you be like, hey, this is why you should be support them?
Well, I mean, if I showed them the game last night in the Copa Libertadores, they'll say, "What the hell is this? This is probably one of the worst games I ever saw," because they actually debuted in the Copa Libertadores yesterday, the first game of their group stage. They were playing against Colo Colo of Chile, who had Arturo Vidal actually in the
Oh,
midfield, so it was kind of a throwback there.
Wow,
But
it is.
yeah, I mean, if for someone that wants to support Cerro Porteño, if you want to, go in to jump in this bandwagon, it's a team that I think historically have always been kind of, there is that difference, or at least comparison, you would say, with, with Boca Juniors being that team that is very gritty, that likes to get results in whatever shape or fashion. They call it the team of the people, El Club del Pueblo, which is basically kind of a team where there's people, in my case, my family come from a more rural background. They were more working class in comparison to Olympia, where the majority of their fans are more upper class, more bougie, and obviously want to play attractive football, similar to what River Plate does, for example, in that sense. So, yeah, I mean, that's the best thing to describe them. I guess it's a team that is very passionate, very suffering, because it's a team that has, like I said, it's the only, like I said, it's the little brother to an Olympia that have won all these titles. Have never, et cetera, have never made it to a continental final, and that's the only thing that they like to make fun of them, is that they always will. Doesn't matter if they win league titles or whatever, they'll always be the little brother because we have the big titles, we have all those continental competitions and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the best way to sell it. The way that they've been playing right now, they conceded a goal in the last second last night, so maybe not the best time to support them. But hey, they got they got some really good, interesting games coming up in the Libertadores. They got to play Fluminense, the reigning champions, in a couple weeks. So, and it's their first game at home, so that's going to be a really big game for anyone that wants to lose their Cerro Porteño virginity, hopefully with a good result. But yeah, I mean, that's the best way to sell. I mean, Paraguayan soccer as a whole is very intense. You get a lot of stuff coming out there, man. Like, I've just been looking at it over the years of how, even not just for myself, but also just people I speak to have been through blackouts, that people have been through, fights in the stands. So games have been suspended because there's fights between supporters group, or maybe their team is losing badly. So out of protest, remember this one time, this was like a year ago or so, they would rip out the chairs of the seats of the stadium and throw them onto the pitch. You get dog invasions. You get, everything that you think of in South America, what you see in those videos on, social media, whatever.
Yes.
That is the reality. That is the reality of what it's like. I mean, it's quirky. It's kind of, in a way, maybe even unprofessional when you compare it to the standards of what it is in the United States or in Europe. But it's natural and it's raw, and I think that's what people really like about it. It's that you don't see that kind of organization as you see in other European countries, or even in North America, and that's why I think people like it, because it's different.
Yeah, I love that. And Lando?
Well, I was just gonna ask. I mean, I didn't want to put you on the spot or ask you in particular. I mean, we didn't in any way, shape, or form about this, but I have a feeling as to what I think you're gonna say. But tell me your favorite Paraguayan dessert and let these people know how good it is.
Oh man, this is a hard one. I did not prepare for this at all. No, because the thing is that we don't really have desserts there. I mean, like, I'm going to be really basic with you, and this is not even a Paraguayan dessert, but it's just what we have. It's just ice cream, man. Like, seriously,
okay.
like, people just go, yeah. Like, we don't do like dulce. I mean, we do dulce de leche, but I haven't really had much of that, and that's more of an Argentine thing, personally. But I mean, if people want to have like bullshit dessert, whatever, just say get some ice cream or cheesecake or whatever, something like that. Yeah, they're more of the case of like, all right, you're gonna go out for dinner, you get all this big meal, and that's it, man. Like, that's all you're gonna get. Whatever dessert is just kind of those traditional ones, like you get like ice cream or anything along those lines, man. So
I didn't know if you were gonna.
I don't know if that answers your question in the right way, but that's the honest one I can give you at least.
Well, I was gonna put you on either rice pudding, tres leches,
Mm-hmm.
or nothing, none of that.
Oh, that's not
Hey,
our
this is why you are where you are, and this is why I am where I am.
that's how different we are, man. Like, I understand, and we all recognize all the different cuisines that we have in this region, but we're also very to ourselves. We like to defend ourselves too, to be a bit more like, no, we're better than you in this or whatever. So there's always there's that brotherhood, but also when it comes to like little particular things, we're like, nah, man, we're better than you in this stuff.
I love it. So I'm actually interested in like how you even watch these matches, because I see a lot of people and they watch a lot of different leagues, and Paramount Plus they offer a few, but I'm interested, like, are you I mean, obviously if you're using roundabout means, like, don't out yourself, but like
No. I'm not gonna get in trouble, so it's all good. It's actually really frustrating for a lot of these guys. We have there's a small community of Paraguayans that live in the United States. I think it's like enough to fill the Etihad, actually, or just about. That's how many people live in this entire country who come from Paraguayan descent. So it is of course a small minority, but of course there is always that kind of like connection where you kind of know everyone, and so when you know someone that works in certain places, you can find a way. And yeah, like you said, you can't watch the Paraguayan league here on like any streaming service like you do with Argentina or Brazil or whatever. So for me, and the best case that I do is I just use my family's account. So we use an account called Tigo Sports where they for some reason, and I'm glad they don't do this, but basically it allows you to watch all the Paraguayan league games as long as you have an account with Tigo Sports, and you can watch it anywhere in the world. It's not geo-blocked. As long as you have a working Tigo Sports account, which obviously my parents and my family have, and that's the best way to watch it, because I think that's kind of the only way. So that's how, like, I remember, like, obviously growing up as well, it's, you have people there that maybe don't have like those connections and whatnot. And I was always very, kind of not nerdy, but very techie as a young kid. So I kind of learned how to do this stuff. And I remember, like, my dad would always be doing like barbecues, asados, as we say in Paraguay, just inviting his boys over and just drinking beer and watching Cedro Olimpia or whatever game, just because we had an account and we could put it onto the TV and just go from there. It was like, it's not like it is these days with all these like third party and like illegal streams and shit. No, this is way back, and even then it worked up for us. So we're clearly doing something right, at least.
Yeah. Well, and man, I just. Oh, Derek, were you about to say something?
No. I was just gonna say, go ahead, finish your thought.
Oh well, I'm kind of gonna keep it moving. So you go ahead. You go.
Well, I was gonna say, you talked about Olympia being the big brother, and I'm looking online, thanks to Wikipedia, because again, I didn't know any of this beforehand, but Cerro has a capacity of 45,000 people in their stadium, and that's like Olympia only has 25,000. How did they become the big brother? Is it just because of titles won, or?
No, that's exactly it. Like,
okay.
I think that's essentially how you like to judge things. Like, like you said, yes, we do have a bigger stadium and whatnot, and Olympia's is very, very low quality, I would say, for a team that's won so many titles. But I think it's just that. Usually this always goes about in South America. There's always this kind of rivalry, like, okay, you might have the biggest stadium in the country or whatever, but we have the bigger fans. We have these titles. We have something you don't have. I think they do that in Ecuador as well, where Liga de Quito is the only team to win the Copa Libertadores, but teams like Barcelona and MLEC, they have bigger stadiums, and yet they're still, and they get to complain. And it's like, we're so good because we have nice stadiums. You guys don't, but hey, show me your Libertadores, show me your Sudamericana, show me all those things, and they're gonna be quiet. So it's kind of like that. There is that little like rivalry when it comes to that. I mean, even the case for Boca and River. I mean, that's more closer because they're kind of closer in titles and whatnot. But River Plate fans will say, well, we have the bigger stadium. We have the stadium that's hosted World Cup finals and have been playing for Argentina for so many decades. But Boca fans will say, no, but we have the better experience. We have more Libertadores than you. We've done that. And so it's always been that. It's always the case of kind of like I don't want to use I don't want to use a profanity here, but basically just saying you're having a big bleep contest and basically saying how good you are in whatever, essentially.
Hey, it's a lit stream. You can curse.
Okay, fair enough.
But I appreciate
He's still got a protected job at ESPN.
I know, right? Right. He's a professional.
Slap it on the
Don't get him in
table. is what he
trouble. Hold
said.
on now.
I'm slapping
Don't
on the
get him in
table.
trouble. You knew what he was going to say. You could have
I
just said
know.
it for him.
I almost did, but I was like, but then I did. Maybe he didn't want to use that word. Maybe he had a different.
We had a different word.
Yeah, maybe it was a different word.
So you got the idea, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, don't want to get that man in any trouble. Who is if you think about footballers of Paraguayan descent, who is like the standout? Who stands out to you as like your favorite Paraguayan footballer?
Well, I think of all time is a guy that used to play for the Sky Blue. Maybe not as good as he did in other clubs, but he's a guy that obviously is very remembered and is still playing to this day at 42 years old. Roque Santa Cruz, the striker. I think he's someone that, obviously when I was a kid, watching Paraguay go into World Cups, 4 straight World Cups from 98 to 2010. I can remember some of those World Cups where, Roque was kind of the main star because he was playing at Bayern Munich or at Blackburn Rovers or even at City at the time. So it was always that guy. And for, I think, a lot of us of his generation, even the ones that we have right now, like your Miguel Almirones at Newcastle or your Julio Encisos at Brighton, those players that kind of looked up to Roque because he was kind of the main guy to really put the flag in this kind of modern era of soccer and the way that he did it. And he was good looking as well. So all the girls loved him as well. Besides of his, he was kind of I don't want to say like a Jack Grealish type of player.
I was going to say,
this was during the days of David Beckham and all those kind of like pretty boy styles, and he was our pretty boy. He had the long hair, he had the gorgeous wife. He didn't have the Netflix documentary as of yet. I'd love to produce one. Shout out Netflix if they're hearing. I'd love to do that, but that's kind of the guy that we've always kind of looked up to, if you are a Paraguayan that likes soccer or, just anyone really, because he was always kind of this model character. Because that's the funny thing about like Paraguay as well, is that we love to big up our idols as much as we do. But once they like mess up or do something stupid, we just like to tackle them and put them on like the front pages of tabloids or talk to them on TV shows. Roque, from what I know, hasn't done any of that. He's kind of, I don't want to say boring because he actually is a really nice guy. I've had the chance to meet him a few times, but he's actually a really nice guy. But still, like that's the thing, and I think that's kind of the example, and even the pressure as well for some of these kids and some of these players that are playing on the national team right now to look up to him because he is the prime example. He is kind of the role model that every kid wants to be, and that we always have to feel like every time Paraguay lose, or maybe there's always a kid that's breaking out, but then he has like some issues with like the law or like a bad girlfriend or whatever in discipline. They always like to bring him out against like, look, this could have been you could have been this. You just have to follow his example, and it's just a constant cycle that goes on. So yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing to have him that high of a pedestal. But yeah, I think he's the one that I definitely looked up to as a kid, and even to this day still. He's still playing. You can't fault a man that plays at 42 years old. And probably he's not going to retire anytime soon, playing in a top league and in Libertadores or whatever at that age for anyone really. Imagine like you guys have Scott Carson. He's not playing at the minute, but hey, you got to commend the man for playing on a team with players that have been either what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? But that have basically been born by the time he was already an experienced player as a goalkeeper. So gotta give respect to that.
I have a question.
Oh, go. Yeah.
Sometimes I like to play a little game called Explain Your Tweet. We don't have the sound ready for it yet, but essentially it'd go like in this nice little tune and you'd say, explain your tweet. Anyway, earlier today you decided to tweet, Anthony assist, quick. Make a wish, everybody. What do you mean by that? Explain your tweet.
It means that doesn't happen so often. So if you're trying to get something like win the lottery, that crush to ask you out, or you're trying to like get yourself a new car,
shoot your shot.
Because what you saw just now over there at Stamford Bridge a couple of hours ago, That's not going to happen every often. So you better get your wishes right now before it is too late.
Basically, what he's saying is this eclipse that's happening on Monday. It's more common than what we saw today.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
A solar eclipse happens every decade or whatever. This is different. This is different what we saw from Anthony today.
And people were called. I just want to hate on that. Like, it was a great assist, but people were just like, "Was that the best assists of this season?" And I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Wait, I haven't watched it yet. Is Crunk being a hater, or was it up? Or should it be up there?
No,
it was somebody else not named Crunk.
No, it was a nasty assist. Outside the foot, I mean,
it was like a jowl. It was like a jowl, like a what he used.
That's a great assist. Why are you being such a hater, bro?
It's not a assist of the year though. That's everybody was saying. Oh, it's the assist of the year. It's his first assist of the year, bro. Like, it can't.
It doesn't have to be like, you don't
So
have to have
by
a certain
definition,
number.
it is the assist of the year for him.
Sharpie. I don't appreciate, like, you were bigging up Arsenal a little too much, and now you're telling me to relax on United. Like, what's going on with you, my boy? What's going on with you?
Arsenal has about 2 more times he said before.
We're trying to expand Shades of Blue Network here. I just want to be fair and balanced. The great assist is great assist. When Giles did the Travella for the first time, we went crazy. It was like, oh my God. Like, give that man some love. He doesn't have much to hold on to, okay? He's going to be sold soon. He's been a bust. It's a lot of pain in his life right now. He deserves that. He still has terrible acne. Like, he deserves that victory. And so if he's going to be in a compilation at the end of the season for one of his 8 goal or 6 goal contributions of the year, let the man have it,
Fine.
Andres Townsend got goal of the year that season, and that's all he did.
And I hated on that shit too.
I'm sure you did. Even poor Andres. Poor Andres.
Oh, consistency. Oh, man.
I stopped listening to Sharpie when he said fair and balanced. I just had a reflex reaction that just made me stop listening.
Look, this is my role on the show. I'm a true Libra. I am balanced in all things, okay? That's what I bring here.
Oh, it's needed. Oh, I side note still, but one of the comments for our last episode was what was it? Hold on, let me read it specifically. Charlie knows ball. Everyone else just emotional.
Facts over feelings over here.
I love that.
I
love that.
I laughed.
It's probably true to a certain extent.
Well, it was because we were all shitting on Arsenal for coming to that yet like they did, and Sharpie was the only one who was being like, "Hey, let's talk about this logically," and I didn't want to do that. Oh man. Well, Roberto, thank you for letting me attack my show, bro, at the end of your time here. So I appreciate you.
That's why I'm here.
Please let Shady Gang listeners, viewers know where they can find you and support the things that you're up to.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. Of course, you could follow me at Roberto Rojas 97 at Twitter, X, whatever the hell you call it. I call it Twitter. That's how I say it. Just follow me there. You can also check out my 2 podcasts that I do every week called Rolling Football, where I've been doing it for 10 years now. Speaking about the world of soccer every week, my co-host Joe Usello will be doing an episode this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. You can also, if you do want to learn more about Paraguayan football and soccer as a whole, you check out my other podcast, Guarani Vision, the first ever podcast dedicated to Paraguayan football in English. We do an episode every week where we talk about everything going on in Paraguay, Paraguayan teams, players, drama, where there's always something that goes on in Paraguay. We'll definitely talk about it there on Guarani Vision. So, check those out. And thank you again for having me, guys. Really had fun.
Of course. And
thank you so much, man.
Thanks for jumping on.
Bringing Roberto back on in the summer. I'm going to have him on for Represent so we can really dig into, who he is as a footballer and all of the things that he loves. I'm super excited about the list of guests that I have put together. It's going to be a very entertaining summer for content season, y'all. I'm already talking about what we're doing in the summer, and it's April. It's early April. But you always be focused. I really appreciate you. We'll talk very soon.
See you later, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy your show.
Bro.
And Greggo is still running a little behind. I think he's hopping on right now. Yeah, he's hopping on right now. He is a busy man. He actually is helping out Shea Butter FC with She Believes Cup this weekend.
That's right, in Atlanta. Yeah. First game.
Yep.
First
so
match,
he's He's actually a mad busy dude. Like he's been running around preparing for that, and then we recorded for like 2.5 hours talking about WrestleMania, and now he's back here today. He's logging in, and then he'll be on. But like I said, I am super excited to have him on and chat because I want to hear because he's a United fan. So we gotta be like, what happened?
Did y'all see how Liverpool did it again, where they were tied 1-1 in like the 70th minute and then happened to score 2 goals? Like, I hate them. Like, if you watch any Liverpool match at Anfield, just call it a win. They're gonna make it dramatic and then they're gonna blow them out. Like, the script keeps writing it. It's so fucking annoying. Like, it really grinds my gears.
And facts, no emotion, though, right, Charlie? Facts, no emotion, though, Charlie.
Right? I don't even pay attention to it because I know what's going to happen. So I don't allow myself to get sucked in. Even if I'm looking at Twitter and I see somebody like, "Oh, Liverpool's down," I don't even turn it on because I know it's not going to last unless you tell me, "Oh, they're down," and it's like the 88th minute or something like that. Then maybe I'll turn it on to see the end. But I do not believe that if it's any time more than that they're not going to get that goal to bring it back.
And I know that, and I still was dumb. I watched the beginning of the match. Liverpool got their goal, and that's when I turned it off. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. But then I started watching the Chelsea United game, and all of a sudden I saw the score, and I was like, okay, sure, let's pop over. And then a minute later, Liverpool scored. So then I was like, see, this is why I don't watch the matches. I love the idea of thinking that they were drawn, and I knew Sheffield was going to fall apart, but I personally just didn't want to see it happening. And so
that was the other thing. They were playing Sheffield United. I have no confidence in them at all.
But see, this is why I think Charlie was watching that match, because I partly think that Charlie was watching it for bets. I feel like he was getting some sort of flavor in there.
I didn't play. I forgot this morning because I usually have to play in the morning before I go to work because in DC you can't bet yet. Like FanDuel is coming. But when I got home, it was like literally 1-1 73rd minute. I'm like, okay, like I text my boy in the group chat, I'm out, like eyes emoji, like what's good? And then they literally scored 2 minutes later. Like that McAllister goal. I was like, well damn. Again, never fails.
So when you say
this is why I have no faith in Premier League. Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, no. I was going to say, so when you say you can't bet in DC, is it like geofence? So basically, when you are physically in the DC city limits, it will not allow you to place a bet.
Well, yeah, they only have one. For some reason, city council only allows one operator, and it's this really terrible site called Gambit, or this app. But like, it's switching to FanDuel later this year. So I think by the summer it's supposed to be moving all to FanDuel, which I use, so it was easier. I didn't want to have to download another app and stuff. But yeah, Maryland, Virginia, you can do whatever you want. DC just wanted to be dumb. But
so it doesn't matter where you live; it matters where you're physically located. So as long as you're in Maryland or Virginia, when you place the bet, you're all good.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
See, and I'm
a huge reason why I chose to live in VA and not DC.
That's smart. That's smart. Yeah,
and supplemental income
doesn't matter.
Yeah. Hey, all right. Well, we got the homie here. So, hey, Greggo, what's up?
What's happening, y'all?
How you feeling? How you keeping up? You keeping yourself busy?
Very busy today. So busy that I am glad. I'm actually glad that I have a confession. I fell asleep when it was 3-2.
That's all you knew was joy.
Well, at least you fell asleep while it was up, so you were like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. And I wake up and I was like, you got to be shitting me. You have got to be shitting me.
You didn't have to see it, but just knowing is gotta be horrible.
Man, listen, like I see all the chat messages and and tweets and everything, and I was just like, what are you supposed to say to that? Like, really?
Did you have any initial thoughts, like, before you got to figure out what happened in your head, where you're like, I bet it was that bastard Cole Palmer?
No. Actually, I was thinking like who on our side just managed to just let that one go, because like I haven't even seen the replay yet. I'm just like, listen, it's just a lot. And like I was chatting with a homie of mine who's with the local United group here in Atlanta, and I was like, we don't know like which United we're going to get. It's because like recently we've been fairly decent, but then you have something like this, and you're just like, this is why nobody trusts United. This is why. This is exactly why.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, how do you feel? Like it's Ten Hag is out. So, are you? Do you like the idea of Potter? Like who are you sold on?
Wait,
Like,
how do you decide that Ten Hag is out?
well, this is
I
what I'm
know,
asking.
right?
This is what I'm asking.
Oh, you said it like it was definitive. You said it like it
Well,
was.
you know, it's
I was like,
just
wow,
this,
are we breaking news? Where's the ESPN breaking news sound?
um, I was talking to Sills from Shea Butter FC because she's here in Atlanta for She Believes, and
Shout out to Shea Butter.
like, cause I think that both United and Chelsea are kind of in a similar situation. And the thing about it is, I think the easy blueprint for both clubs to kind of follow is Arsenal, because a couple years ago they just said, "Hey, we're gonna start fresh, go with a relatively young squad." And I think that now you're starting to see the results out of all that. Stop worried about whoever's you know a veteran and hot right now. Just focus on who exactly can we grow with and turn this into an eventual winner. Because otherwise, yeah, you're just going to keep on chasing basic jersey sales, and that does nothing. And I think that I would like to think that Ten Hag is can be the solution. It's just a matter of will he be allowed to stay around long enough to show that he's the solution. And you have results like this, and you're just like, if he manages to stick around, it's by the grace of God.
You said if he stays long enough to show he is the solution.
Because I mean, like you look at Arteta a couple years ago, they were looking to go ahead and fire him, and it's like they managed to weather that storm. And I would argue that the results are largely paying off now. Like you really have to just be that convinced that this manager is the answer. I mean, like it was the same thing kind of with Klopp, same thing with Arteta. Like you got to just you got to trust the process and hope that whatever path that you're on is going to ultimately pay off. And I think that for us, um, there's still a lot of junk that we still got to clear out before you really start seeing the results. And I think that's going to cause a lot of hurt feelings with that. And it's like, do you want to win, or are you worried about feelings? It shouldn't really be a debate if you're talking about United. It shouldn't be, but of course, it seems like we get further and further away from what actually worked for us back in the day.
Yeah. Well, here's a Optijo stat that was shared: 99-17. Manchester United were leading in this game at 99-17, the latest the side has ever led in the Premier League match that have gone on to lose.
Wait, come on.
Collapse. Make sure you get the last statement in that.
Oh wow.
Well, I felt like
we were still winning,
good,
like almost 10 minutes into extra time, and we still managed to lose. Like, bruh,
that's crazy.
That's absolutely wild.
And even watching it just made no sense, because even like, sure, I get the
how
penalty,
much extra time was there? I'm like, dude, like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was only like 8 minutes originally, but
so like you're talking about 9-17.
Goal happened.
What has happened?
It happened, and then it drug it out and made it longer.
I mean, because like if you're already like almost a minute and a half beyond what you said, it's like that's when you got to start doing during the Fergie time. Be like, hey, bruh, look at that.
I'm
watch,
trying
bruh.
not to tell you what happened, but there was a bit of extended time in there.
A little bit,
that drug it out.
That's more to drug it. That's like, hey,
They have VAR. They have VAR going there.
Somebody score, please, please.
DT says in parentheses collapse. LOL. Being on the wrong end of Fergie time now is brazy.
It's insane, bro. Like the fact that you're going that deep anyway, and then like that's a whole minute and a half like beyond what you said was going to be. I'm like, bro, like if nothing else, I'd be like, okay, you scored, and that's the last kick of the game. It ends in a draw, but you said no. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more. Let's do a little bit more. Like,
you turned it over too. You turned it over to have them get the ball.
Oh man,
this is felonious. This is felonious behavior by the refs.
This man is mad at IFAB. Like, how dare you change the rules to this game I love? 5 minutes was the max, and we were all happy. Now you doubled it.
Why do you need 10 minutes of extra time? Like, why? Like you just praying for the chaos. You praying for times like this.
No, it's crazy.
And I feel like they both happen because of mistakes by United players too.
Well, I can believe it.
That's the frustrating part. If I were a United fan, I'd just be ticked.
The frustrating thing about United lately, and I think I saw it especially like in the Manchester Derby, is that I think, especially against the bigger sides right now, it's like there's a lack of confidence that we can truly beat those teams, and we should be able to. I think that if we actually, did not panic so often, we would be fine. And that's where, like I say, it just becomes frustrating because, you can just see just the fear basically, and that's something that until they get rid of that, we're not going to challenge for titles. We might get lucky and get a Leagues Cup or a FA Cup, but as far as like the big boy trophies, Premier League, Champions League, or even probably the Europa League, like all of that's going to be just not as confident as you probably should be, because like you have to have the will to just be like, I'm gonna go out there and just Debo everybody, and it's not there.
Is this the end of Rashford? Because he didn't start, and he saw that weird. You may or may not have seen that post from his brother.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was very weird.
What is that about? Can anybody explain
is it a radio? Is it from a radio interview? I'm like, I don't know if like somebody was talking trash about Marcus. I don't know, but I mean, it's difficult because he's not just a United player, but he's also an Academy United player. So like he's pretty much been there since he was knee high to the tree high, and so with that, it's not like you can just sell him off to just any English club, because you have that loyalty to United, and then but then once you look beyond that, it's like what is his demand outside of Europe? Like it's not like he's going to go to. I don't think at this point he's going to go to Real Madrid. Barcelona's still broke, so that's not an option. Maybe one of the big clubs in Italy takes a chance on him, like right. Maybe Milan or
replace Lyon.
Yeah, but it's hard because I don't know like what his demand is outside of Europe. I mean, of course I see all the PSG links, so I'm just like, PSG's in a funky space right now because I think that Neymar's been gone, Mbappe's more than likely out, and it's like, what's going to be their identity after all this? He could be part of that rebuild, but I don't know if he'll be readily accepted by that fan base to where it's like, yeah, we believe in you, because of course they're not dumb. They see what's happening in England and we're like, you sure this is the guy? But we'll see. I would like for him to stay. I mean, I feel like when he's on, he's great. It's just a matter of he's a very sensitive person, for better or worse, and you have to make sure that he's locked in, so that way he can perform well. Because otherwise, you get a bunch of nothing, and like he's in too high of a position to just do nothing.
300K a week salary.
Must be nice.
You wanna restructure that maybe?
If he's open to that, sure. I mean, I think that there's a couple people that where if you're willing to, come down on that check, and that might be a hard sell, but if you are, let's work that out. But otherwise, uh, we got to figure something else. I mean, it's like you're trying to, because at this point, it's only going to get even harder, I believe, to stay amongst the top four and the top six. Because I mean, now you got clubs like Aston Villa and even West Ham. Like they're coming within the earshot of getting those Champions League spots. So like, it's not going to be just City. It's not going to be just Liverpool. It's not going to be just Arsenal. I mean, of course, you got. I think we still haven't really seen Newcastle really start flexing that Saudi muscle yet. So when if they ever get to a point when they start spending that cash, and of course they got even more cash than City, it's going to be like, we might have to pack a lunch. So it's we have to do more than what we're used to in order to stay at least stay level with a lot of teams. I mean, luckily we have the brand of being Manchester United, but at the same time, you got to be able, like, we can't just rest on that laurel anymore. I mean, there's just way too many clubs now that have that cash and have the organization behind that to be like, hey, we can hang with y'all and do better than y'all. So we got to step up with that.
So I'm looking at Transfermarkt, and they say that his current market value is 60 million euros.
Sounds about right.
And his current contract goes until 2028.
Oh, wow.
Oof. Would you? And so if he's on 350 or whatever it was, his last extension was July 18th of 2023. So he just extended.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's on like 350, I think is what you said. So would you take 60 mil for him? Or is that, in your opinion, is that undervaluing him?
It all depends on where he's going. Again, I feel like with every English player, if he was to somehow transfer somewhere else in England, I feel like there's an English uptick, so you gotta add an extra 15 million on top of that.
Would you take 60 from PSG for him?
No, I'd say 70, 75.
Trying to get back that Anthony money. I see what you're doing here.
I mean,
trying to get back that mistake.
Listen, there's more than a few mistakes on that roster right now, so it's
Casemiro.
I mean, Casemiro's not really I would say a mistake. It's just, I think with him, and I think I talked about this the last time I was on the show. Like, you were buying him to hopefully groom someone else, and hopefully he gives you an extra 2-3 years of the quality that he had at Madrid. However, it definitely feels like the quality that he had last year definitely isn't translated to this year, and so you gotta have to speed that up as far as who you see as the next guy, and so like it was that was more so a calculated risk. I think that again, that's you're trying to get some bit of a leadership quality and hopefully on field quality with him, but yeah, it's just that it seems like everything kind of just fell off the tracks this year, and yeah, it's unfortunate because last year I felt like he was a stud last year, and that might have just been the last bit of last drop of excellence that he really had. But yeah, trust me, there's plenty of others that I'm like, yeah, you were a mistake. You were definitely a mistake.
And I wish I could say I feel bad for you, but since unfortunately it's our
Rivals stay rivals. I get it. I ain't tripping. I ain't tripping.
But I do want to end here, and gotta plug us real quick. Your favorite wrestling podcast. Greggo and I, our first 2 episodes dropped today. For those who enjoy wrestling, we did day 1 and day 2 of WrestleMania. We previewed, we did some predictions. It was a good time. What I will tell you guys is I didn't know what type of wrestling fan Greggo was, and I learned very quickly and very immediately he's in it. So like he is truly the best co-host I could have, because I grew up with it, but then I totally just like forgot it, and then I came back 4 years ago. So, but he's been in it. He digs deep in it. He loves AEW. He's listening to like podcasts, like Ariel Hawani's podcast. Like I was like, I haven't even touched it, and I followed it. So he's now getting me to dive even more into the world, and I thought I was like tapped into it, but I'm not. So
I wouldn't even really say I'm necessarily tapped in, because
I know there are people who are like real crazy,
like,
but compared to me,
I like to have a life.
Yes,
and I try to I live vicariously through them. But I mean, as far as the primary promotions is, I feel like, especially with all the social media content out there, it's not super hard to keep up. But of course, with this being WrestleMania week, I mean, like, there's stuff all over the place this week. I just saw Roman Reigns and The Rock were on Jimmy Fallon last night. It's a lot. And of course, tomorrow you got SmackDown, the Hall of Fame ceremony, and then, like I said, Saturday is game on.
I love it. I'm just
before you get them off.
Yeah.
Before you get them off. If you have something to say about wrestling, go ahead.
No,
I'm gonna switch subject for a second.
Not at all.
So I'm gonna pull Orlando and ask you about a tweet. So
great segment. It's a mess now.
Honestly,
because I hadn't followed you before, so I had to follow you. But I noticed there was some conversation about NC State.
Oh yeah.
Men, women, boys, girls.
Yeah.
All of the above.
All of it.
Because what I saw was a comment about something about the team wearing sky blue, and I kind of felt some kind of way. But I know my guy Charlie's going to feel some kind of way, and I really
Charlie
I had to bring that up.
I mean, here's the thing. Obviously,
they don't call it sky blue down here; they call it Carolina blue. Yeah.
Obviously, so to kind of give you some background on me, my dad played football for NC State. He's actually was on the last team to win the ACC in football for NC State. That was 1977. Like if you go up to the stadium, go up to the field house, his name's in the bricks, like he in there. And so, like when he and my mom got married, we live like right down the road from NC State. So like, and of course, like I'm old enough to remember when State was the school in North Carolina. It wasn't UNC. It damn sure wasn't Duke. And State was that school. I'm like I saw it happen in real time, as far as just like that shift from people liking State to people suddenly liking Duke. And I was just like, nah, like we don't do that around here. So like there are a few teams in this world that I hate more than Duke. Like I actually have a soft spot for UNC, but under no circumstances are we liking Duke. It's like
look at
Duke, Alabama football.
Come on with it.
And just slightly below that, it's Man City.
You were doing so great. You were doing so great till we got there. I was with you until you got there. It's interesting because like I spent some of my childhood in North Carolina and
Mm-hmm.
up to, like my high school years, and so I got accepted to NC State, but it wasn't the school that I wanted to go. It was an engineering school, so okay,
Yeah.
boom, I could go there. But it feels like, especially when I was there in the, let's say, early '90s, it's like gangs to a certain extent. You're either
Mm-hmm.
one or the other. You were
Yeah.
either North Carolina or Duke, but then NC State was kind of like almost like a distant third. Do you
Yeah.
feel that like that?
I mean, like so, like the transition came so fast because like you had Duke had like their run because even before the back-to-back championships, like you got to remember like that was part of a run where they went to like 4 straight Final Fours,
Mm-hmm.
and so like they were already starting to really start to turn around because like at that point, Coach K, like he was just hitting like his like 10th year at Duke, so like they were starting to finally turn things around there. Of course, at UNC, Dean Smith was like the standard there as well,
Yep.
and with at NC State, that was like at the back end of Jimmy V, and it was like they had a couple classes that had a lot of potential, like you had like Chris Corciani, Rodney
Mm-hmm.
Monroe, Tom
Yep.
Gugliotta. Like they were decent, but they just weren't getting that far anymore. And like he was starting to do a whole lot of Hollywood stuff, started to do more studio stuff, and then like he just said, "Hey, we're just going to go ahead and move on." And it was just like there was such a quick drop once he left that like yeah, it's like UNC like Duke won there too, UNC won one after right after that, and it was like yeah, it's like everybody just left NC State behind, and even like for a while, like back when Tim Duncan was at Wake Forest, it was like for a while you probably could argue that we were fourth, but like to see where things are
Fair.
now, and like there's the head coach for the men, Kevin Keats, like I think he came at just the right time because I said even then I was like if he just has to stay long enough to where he's still there when Coach K retires, when Roy Williams retires, and I'm like, because I feel like once those two are gone, it's fair game because you're going to be dealing with the guys who got to replace these icons, and they're not going to have the same clout and stature, so it's going to be a far more even playing field as far as recruiting goes. Of course, things in the college game are so crazy now with NIL and college portal and everything. But yeah, like I like it's absolutely amazing. I feel like they got Jen Zebo, DJ Burns. I mean, like, bruh,
Which is a
like
dope nickname, by the way.
yeah. And like it's been really cool to see. Of course, the women like they've been on the rise for the past couple of years. This is like I think
They
their
have.
second to Final Four the past 3 years. I mean, but just the fact that you have both in the Final Four at the same time, like that's absolutely wild. Like I was telling the Crunkster last night, I'm like between She Believes, between WrestleMania, I'm like I will find a place to watch these Final Four games. To like
Got
there's
to.
the women play their game tomorrow, and then the men play their game on Saturday. I'm like, hey, I don't care what everybody else is doing. I am watching these games, and yeah, like you're gonna have to like hopefully like the opposition stuff. I mean, I feel like I think we have the men have a fair shot of beating Purdue. I think we have a fair shot. Um, the women, we got South Carolina. Ugh, I I'm just hoping for the best. I'm hoping for the best.
I'm a
I just
Don
want to
Scully
before
fan. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I gotta say this as the resident UNC fan. What y'all did to Duke brought me so much joy.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
it was beating them twice in like 3 weeks,
Twice.
whatever, like just incredible. Ended both of their seasons, right? Regular season,
Yeah.
postseason, and the
Mm-hmm.
conference, and like it's beautiful. I had a Duke fan like, well, we made it to the thing. Like, y'all lost the state twice. Don't talk to
The
me.
enemy of
Like,
my
and no
enemy
offense, but
is
just
my
like
friend.
Hey, I get it. I get it.
exactly. and we both hate Duke, right? So like, and then like to have a black coach in Keats who saved his job. Like those players literally saved his job. He got him an extension because that man was on the way out. It's a beautiful story. I normally don't root for Cinderella to make it to the Final Four. Like I want top seeds, but if somebody had to do it, I'm glad it's an ACC team. I'm glad it's y'all. I do not think y'all gonna be Purdue, but if y'all did, an amazing story. So best of luck to y'all.
I'm just shocked that Purdue actually, didn't get in their own way and actually made it this
Doing the
far.
UVA.
But yeah, like they had a strong case of the UVA's the past few years. But I mean, I didn't realize Zach Edey was that damn big. But
Yeah.
but
You gotta
like I
watch
said,
him. He's a monster.
I'll take our chance with Lil Zebo and
I was going to say that's going to be a good matchup to
yes
see
it
how
will.
he matches
Yes
up.
it will. Big
It's going to be the
man.
approach that I think is the key.
Let's go. Oh man. Well, Greggo, always appreciate you. Always a good time chatting with you. Please let Shady Gang listeners, viewers know where they can find you, support you, all the things that you're up to.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, we have my original podcast for the Coach Soccer podcast. That's at FTC UTD. Of course, if y'all haven't, if y'all have already been following me, you know that we had a unfortunate incident a couple weeks ago where like our IG accounts and Facebook accounts got hacked. So on Instagram, you can catch us at FTC UTD Pod. That's where you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads as well. And yeah, I mean, like I said, we if you want to deal with me directly, if you want that smoke with me directly, it's totally fine. I'm at Greggo_FTC on Instagram and Greggo_82 on Twitter on the Twix box.
All right, homie.
Appreciate you, bro.
You rest up. Good luck this weekend. Have fun.
Will do, man. Y'all take it easy.
Yeah. See you.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Hey, what a show for you. Shout out to our most dope guests, Duck, Roberto Rojas, and Greggo. We are back tomorrow night. No, actually tomorrow midday. 3 p.m. The time zone change in England, so it's throwing me off. Time zone change in England. So yeah, 3 p.m. our time. It'll be 9 p.m. England time. I will be having Eagle Eye podcast on to discuss Manchester City versus Crystal Palace. We're going to get into it, y'all. And that will be the last show of the week. No women this weekend because they're on international break for the next couple of weeks, and the men play too early. So enjoy that rest. I am Crunk Chocolate. I'm here with my show bros, Sharpie Charlie, Lando, Tarek. We are Shades of Blue. We will see you soon. You know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.